Good morning. My name is Anya Lienau, and I've been coming to FUS about 10 years this year. First by myself, then with my husband Mike, and now with our 2-year-old Owen, who likes to come play with the big truck in nursery. And I'm glad to have the opportunity to share with you why I'm active at FUS and why I pledge. And I'm the last one of the month. The most important reason is that I found a community here that I thought I would never have again. I grew up ELCA Lutheran, and I really loved worship and religion. I loved the ritual and routine and the beauty and calm of worship service. Even if I was bored sometimes as a kid, I really liked the calm. And I loved the joyful cacophony of the coffee hour, everyone having their conversations afterwards. Friendly adults who took an interest in me despite no professional obligation to do so. Potlucks with every imaginable configuration of Jell-O salad, am I right? It wasn't even the dessert table. It was the salad table. Okay. Sunday school, high school retreats, we got to talk about the big issues in our lives, things you didn't really talk about anywhere else, and doing volunteer work together made so much more meaningful doing it in community. Church felt really real to me, so unlike other things that I was made to participate in. How many places in our society can kids engage in something that adults do also, alongside them in much the same way, and that those adults find meaningful and important to themselves, and the kids are invited along? For me, it was rare, so it was a big deal for me. So you can imagine how I felt in college when, through a period of much questioning and learning, I went from liberal Christian to an atheist who was still very interested in religion. It was liberating to become comfortable with what I believed, to learn that people had had the same thoughts and questions for centuries and beyond. But realizing I could never honestly participate in a community, a church like the one I grew up in, was devastating. It was really hard for me. Tried not to think about it for several years. So one day I despaired to a friend that I needed a church for atheists, which of course that doesn't exist. Whatever. He said, I think you can be an open atheist at the Unitarian Universalist Church, actually. What? Are you kidding me? He had a friend in college who was UU and told him about it, and he wasn't interested, but the message eventually got passed on to me. So thank you, friend, wherever you are, whoever you are. So when you make your pledge this year, I hope it might make you smile to think about a 23-year-old. I said 22 yesterday, and then I did my math and realized it's 23. Sitting at a computer, at work, trying to be discreet, reading the UUA and FUS websites, because I think this was the next day and I couldn't wait, and just tears all down my face of gratitude and amazement and joy, just that, yes, she knows, where you recognize there is a place for you. I just couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe that it already existed. A whole future I didn't dare to dream of had opened up before me. So, words on a website are very pretty and one thing, and then real life is another. So I came to FUS. My first Sunday was a flower communion Sunday, and I thought, okay, it's a little different than Lutheran church. I need to get used to this a little bit. I don't know if it's exactly my style, but then, kept coming. I love flower communion. I don't want to diss flower communion, but it was a little different, is all I'm saying. It was a little culture shock. So I'm glad to say that I kept coming back. I stayed in touch, and 3 years later I signed the book, and it's been more and more since then. And the more you put in, the more you get out, I think. So that first service was the day of my first donation, and I was soon pledging. And I credit my parents for that, for setting me an example that I just kind of followed without even thinking about it. So cliche as it sounds, growing up we were always struggling to make ends meet, and it was clearly a source of stress in my family. But I remember clearly a night where my mom and dad sat down to try to figure out their budget with the goal of increasing their donation to their church to get it closer to 10%. And my mother always also sponsored Children Through Plan International and other charity things. She would engage us in writing letters to kids that we were sponsoring, and just reminding us that even, especially if we were feeling particularly down, that we didn't have any money, that we were still wealthier than most people on the planet, and we had a responsibility. So I felt really proud of my parents when I saw them make room for church and charity in their budget, and now I recognize how lucky we were that they were able to do that we had some wiggle room. It felt powerful and optimistic when they did that because it was. So after college, I followed their example and started putting aside 10% of my income, or entire times income after bills, because sometimes it's what it had to be, for what I call good causes. And I'm grateful that I've had the privilege and resources to be able to do that, because this practice has allowed me to be generous in good times and bad, and to say yes to my values without having to weigh it against what else is going on that month in my budget. It's really nice to just say yes all the time. Yes, sure, I know I have that money available. That's made pledging consistently and generously to FUS very easy and joyful, which is another great thing. So that feels really good, because I don't want FUS and the people, the wonderful staff who work here, to feel that powerful and stressful distraction that I'm sure many of you know about, of always being short of money, of always wondering what you got to cut. That's a terrible distraction. I want this community and its wonderful staff to thrive, because thanks to FUS, in addition to those countless thought-provoking and inspiring moments sitting here in service, I've participated in transformative adult education, social justice events that have just changed my life. I've overcome my fear of engaging on the issue of racism. I've honed new skills, leading a child's group, teaching children in CRE, becoming trained as a sound operator. I've connected with other organizations in the community that I probably would never be aware of if not for this place, the Goodman Community Center, the Road Home. And through all this, I've met, of course, amazing and inspiring new friends, as I'm sure many of you have too. And now my son's meeting friends too, and that's a wonderful thing. So 10 years ago, I thought that I would never get back the religious community I had lost, and instead I found more than I ever expected. So I'm grateful, and I want to thank you all for helping to sustain this community and keep it growing. Thanks.